We are good to go. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I am Erin Lincoln, and I am the Deputy Court Administrator in the front of the court for Third Circuit Court. Welcome to our webinar for training for our new, I'm not going to call it e-filing, not to get it confused with the state's e-file system, our new Third Circuit electronic filing system that we're going to present to you today. Let me just get my screen share going. All right, so welcome. Everyone can see this, correct? So you'll have to bear with me because I'm new to the webinar business, but just a few housekeeping things. The chat is disabled, so we do not have that function enabled. You're all on mute because we are on a webinar. We are recording this session because it is going to be posted later on our website for those who maybe couldn't attend today. There will be time for question and answers, or if you think of questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A function for that. And I think that's it. I'm going to go through, this is our agenda, obviously, for today's training. And so I'm going to go through with introductions. I already introduced myself, and I would like to introduce Judge Melissa Cox. She is our presiding judge of family domestic here. So I don't know, Judge Cox, if you have anything you wanted to.
Sure. I just want to thank everybody for the overwhelming attendance. Obviously, this has been a long-awaited application that we have been hoping to roll out. Of course, though, we wanted it perfected and as functional as possible before we did so. So I really, really appreciate that everybody's here wanting to learn to use it in the most proficient way possible. The real heroes, however, are on the screen below me or next to me, and it's our IT staff at our court who really throughout the whole pandemic have been working around the clock just to allow our court to continue to function in the family domestic division. So because of them, really and truly, I'm very proud to say that our bench in our division has been able to continue to perform our services to the public without any real interruption. And I think this is only going to make things even better. So thank you to Dave. Thank you to Mike.
Thanks, Judge. So I want to introduce Mike Ruich, who is our CIO here at Third Circuit Court. And like Judge said, really the one who has helped us all through this pandemic and been the driving force behind this new system. And then we have what we like to lovingly refer to as the Daves, David Bigna and David Pallone, who are the men really behind this system who have done all the programming. So they're both on. And then we also have Cindy DePaulis. And Cindy, I always forget what your official title is at Wayne County Clerk's Office.
Department Administrator to the Civil and Family Division.
Yes, thank you. And then I also did see Jillian Fitzgerald on. She's not on the panel, but she's here, our legal director and assistant front of the court. And I think I saw Rich Lynch is on too, our general counsel. So they're here supporting us. So here's the agenda for today. Like I said, we're just going to kind of go through a background and an overview of the system. The big thing and really why everyone's here is that the Daves will take us through a walkthrough, and then we will have time for questions and answers. So just quick little background. Obviously, everyone knows pre-COVID, we had in-person filings and mail filings, right? COVID obviously shut all of that down, and we had to quickly pivot to try to meet the needs of the pandemic at the time. So we went into our email filing system, which worked when it did, and then obviously didn't meet our needs. And so we know we went through a period of time where we had a lot of delays with that system. We heard the feedback from the bar, from the litigants. And so that was when we returned to in-person. And so kind of during that time when we experienced those delays, that was when we said we need to do something different. And the MyFile system is not available for us. I know many wanted us to just get on board that MyFile train with the state, but it's much easier said than done. That system's still going to be a little ways off. And so we went to our IT department to get their help in building the system that we are going to be rolling out shortly. And so that's where we are today. They've done a lot of programming, obviously. We've done a lot of testing internally. We did have some attorneys help us with testing on their end so that we got that feedback from them too. So it's not you know, a system that's just out there with no feedback from those who would actually use it. We have gotten that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that. Currently, the plan is that we will be going live with the system sometime soon. Date is yet to be determined, but we are expecting it, I would say, within the next few weeks. So stay tuned as to when the actual date of the go live will be. We will make sure there'll be a press release out there. It'll be up on our website. I will send emails out, you know, the email blast, same way you got the email about today's training, you'll receive when we do go live with the new system. Once we have the new system up and running, how it will work is that there will be 3 options for filing. We will still accept mail-in filings like we have been doing. There will still be opportunity for in-person filings. That will be on Mondays and Thursdays only. So in-person Monday, Thursday only. It will still be the same times that it is now. So it'll be open from 8 until noon. And then again from 1 until 4. You have to be in line by 3:30 in order to do the in-person filings. And then the electronic system will also be available, obviously, once it goes live. However, similar to what we did with the email system, it's not going to be available 24/7. It will be Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock. So the electronic system will not be up on nights. It won't be up on weekends. It won't be up on court holidays. But we did want to, you know, obviously have there be access to justice and have, you know, we know that different options for filing works differently for different people. And so those will be the options once we go live. And I always want to direct everyone to our website and specifically where we have our filing directions. That's that website there. If you go to either the family domestic page or the front of the court page, you can easily navigate to that page, those directions from there. That page is always going to be updated with the latest and greatest news on the filing. It will have instructions on the new email or electronic filing system once it's up. So just make sure it's always good to just kind of go there every once in a while and review those. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to Dave Vigna and Dave Pallone to take you through the system.
Hey, Aaron, can I just jump in for a second? Just this webinar, we're going to record it. We'll also be posting it onto the website that Aaron just kind of highlighted there. So just so everybody's clear, if you have other people in your office, maybe that need to see it, it'll be out there for your availability.
Yep. And in addition to that, there will be a user guide for the electronic system, right, Mike? That will be up.
Yes.
Yeah, PDF user guide. Okay. So Dave, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. I just shared my screen. Can everybody see it? Or Aaron, can some?
Not yet, Dave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Now we're good.
Okay. So in order to access the electronic filing system, you'll have to have an account. Now, some of you may already have an account, so you don't have to really take heed of this, but if you don't have an account, you'll have to come to our website, the Third Circuit Court website, and then there's a description here of how to register. So if you, I'm going to walk you through it, but if you don't remember, you can click on the how to register, and it brings up the instructions on how to register. So you get to this page and you don't have an account, so you say create a new account. The required fields have red asterisks, so I'm just going to say. Oops. I'm just making up a password here. So there's certain rules. If you try to, it explains them in the how to register portion. But you have to have it like one capital, one non letter, and one number.
So Dave, there is a question in the chat. If assistants and paralegals would you need to use the same login as the attorney, or if they would need to create their own?
They should use the same login as the attorney.
And with that, Aaron, all of the correspondence back and forth regarding whether things are successfully filed, rejected, accepted, it goes to the email address provided for the account being used. So in other words, if I'm a assistant and you're using your own, those would go directly to that assistant as opposed to maybe the attorney on the case who has their own account as well.
Okay, so I just created the domestic filer. So if you have an account, this is where you'd come in to log in. And the domain should always be public. It was third CC for me because I'm internal, but it'll always come up public for you. So put in your username, password, and the public domain, and click login. Then you'll see the link here, domestic case filings. That's what you want to click on. This is a self-registering app. So by that we mean you don't have to do anything after this. You just click on the link.
Dave, sorry to interrupt, but there's another question in the chat.
Okay.
The question was with regard, it looks like on the top of your page, it says not secure, and there is a concern about putting in info like their last 4 of their social security numbers, but it's not secure. I don't know if that's just on your.
That's not my end, so I'm not really sure. That's more like a Sujal type question.
So Aaron, it's Mike. So for that, first of all, we're on a development system. So a lot of those things do. And Dave, I don't think last 4 social security number were required for signing in, correct?
If you put your bar number in, then it requires.
Okay. Then you need the last 4.
Not to sign in, but to create the account, you would need the last 4.
Yeah. So anyways, again, this is a development system because obviously we can't do this in production. So, and again, the account sign on and all of the applications that you saw listed were already being used for other applications. I was just actually looking at another question popped up.
Yeah, it's still back to the attorney and the paralegal using separate logins. So I think it was with regard, Mike, to your comment about isn't it contrary to the instruction that the paralegal and the assistant use the attorney's login? That would appear to indicate that it's important for the assistant to use a different login so they're notified if there's a problem with the filing.
I'm not providing direction to how each office works.
So how it's. They could, as long as they don't have to, if the emails would go to, email has to be unique, and so that would be it. They could do it if they wanted to. I guess.
Again, the paralegal or the assistant can have their own sign-on. It's just if they file, the emails will be going to that person who used that ID for filing. If they choose to forward it to their attorney, someone else in the firm, that's fine. But if the attorney of record wants to have someone file on their behalf, that's fine as well. Again, we can't dictate how your offices run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so someone's saying they don't see the shared screen anymore, but I still see it. So
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still see it as well.
Assistants, paralegals be able to read carbon copies? No, that's not included in this. I'm sorry.
No.
The other question was, could you please provide the specific web address to access the screen? I'll answer that in the chat. yes. Another question was about each account only allows for one email address to receive notifications. That's correct. So if the paralegal is the one who registers and files, the paralegal is the one who will be getting it back.
Then there's a question about login looks similar to the criminal login system. I think that's where Dave maybe pointed out earlier that you may already have an account in the system if you're an attorney that uses one of our other applications. So your ID and password most likely are out there. You still have to sign up for this application. In other words, you have an account with us, but you still need to request access, and it's a self-enrollment application. So you just need to click on it and let you enroll. And I'm sorry, someone asked about the public domain. It's on the 3RDCC domain. That's what we're using.
Yep, I'm putting the, I'm answering those questions about the, where to access it. So Dave, can you go back to our website if you go to 3rdcc.org and show them how they get into agency resources? So start from the very front.
So
yeah.
There's an icon on the top and you click on it and then go to outside. Well, now that I'm logged in, it's going to take me right to my applications.
Yeah, I think you provided enough with that, Dave. Someone else, Stephen, posted, yes, you can. You'll be getting a very specific email back if you choose to write forwarding rules internal to your organization to forward it to an attorney. That's fine. Let's see, it sounds like a firm needs a dedicated email that all attorneys and filing systems can have access to. That's fine. Dave, can multiple users have the same email address?
I think, Mike, maybe what that firm is doing is that they have like a
generic one, right? That
yeah, right.
Everybody has access to, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you guys keep going and I'll try to, there's a lot of questions and I think maybe if we go forward, some of these questions might be answered and then I'll keep track of the other ones.
So someone's asking about the password every 3 months as required in the criminal division. Tell you the truth, I can't remember if that's the case, that's the case. So it's the same user ID system for all of our applications. So it probably is every 3 months. So go ahead, Dave.
Okay. So this is the default screen when you log into the application. Takes you to the filing screen where you can create new filings. And I'm just going to walk through one of each type. So I'll start out with a fee waiver. You could create a fee waiver with no case number, or if you have a case number that you want it to be associated with, you can put the case number in. The reference here is for your reference. So something that would, it has nothing to do with the court, it's just something to remind you what this is for. So if I put like just XYZ in there, whatever. And then emergency, if it's an emergency filing or not. I'm not gonna make it one. Then you have to, for a fee waiver, you have to provide, it has to be the fee waiver that's located on the, I'm not exactly sure where it's located, but there's a fee waiver here. It looks like this. This is the form. So there's each one of these filings has 4 steps. Unless it's a new case, then there's an additional step, which you'll see when we get there. But so the first step was just basic information. That was just the case number, and in this, for a fee waiver, there's not much else. If there is no case, and then the second step is going to be required documents. Well, for a fee waiver, there's only one required document. So for a fee waiver, there's no additional documents. So there's nothing to do there. And this is the confirmation screen. You can just check over the information you've entered. You can review the document again to make sure. When everything looks good, you click submit. And it tells you, are you sure you want to submit this? You get a confirmation, you say yes. And then it's just an acknowledgement shows up that it's been entered. And then it goes into your pending queue. So this is the pending queue. Initially, when we started out, since I was a new user, there was nothing there. So, and as things get processed through the system, they will drop off the pending queue and they will move to your history, which we'll get into later. But for now, I'm going to move on to a new case.
Hey, Dave, can I just step in? There's a question about reference number.
Sure.
Reference number is on each of these screens. It's more an internal number for your organization. Some people like to tie it to maybe some kind of billing information, these kind of things. We don't use that number for anything. It's more for your purposes.
Yeah, every filing type has it on there. So, okay, so the first thing you want to do when filing a new case is pick the case type. I'm just going to stick with that. If you request 4D services, you click yes. If you're not, leave it. If you're going to pay with a fee waiver, do that. Otherwise, if you have an all paid receipt, then you would click the all paid receipt button, and then a receipt is required. Receipt number is required. If it's a pro se filer, then you don't put a bar number in there, but I'm just going to pick some, not to make it a little quicker. I had fill in. I had the data fill in, but you'll enter whatever you don't enter is required. So if I want to go to the next screen, it's going to tell me that defendant name is required. If I left off, let's say, the zip code here, it would tell you that the zip code is, so the required fields, you'll be notified of what the required fields are when you try to move from one step to the next.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to step in. So someone is trying to get into the system. Nothing's live. It's been turned on for some pilot users that we have. I'm going to say, let's not tie up the chat with those kind of questions. Someone then asked where they pay. I believe, and Cindy, I don't know if you want to step in for that. I think it's called All Pay, but it's standard for payment for the clerk's office.
Correct. The same system we used in the emailing system.
Yeah.
And we're not using it now.
Right. So once this goes live, it'll go back similar to how we did on email, where you will pay through the all paid, you'll get that receipt, and then you'll use that receipt number, and those instructions will all be on our website.
Okay, so this is the basic information required for a new case. So now that I put all the required information in, you can add additional parties here. So at least for a DC case, or for certain cases, at least one child is required. So just change that. There's a birth date required. 2009. So then the parties, as you add parties, they'll be listed here. And you can, if you made a mistake and it was Janet, let's say, you can edit. And now we're probably, there's going to be there's a user guide as well. Does that show up when I click on that? The user guide? Or do I have to share that separately?
That shows up as well. I just wanted, it's funny because when there's questions, there's like 3 of them all in a row. So the question was, if we're with the adding a child in the birth date, the question was related to the personal protected information. So yes, when you add that child's name and the birth date, all that's doing is that's taking that information and it's putting it into our Odyssey system, which is just internal, just for the court. It's not going to go out to any other party or do anything. So we've made sure it's really for the court and for front of the court purposes. So we're complying with all the PPI rules there. It will not show on the ROA, on the Register of Actions.
And the pending queue shows you only whoever the person is logging in, their pending filings. Nobody sees anybody else's filings. So
Your own individual filings.
right.
So in other words, if I'm a paralegal and I file 5 things today, you're only going to see those things that you filed. You're not going to see things that an attorney has filed. And vice versa, obviously.
And then you'd also can also add any prior cases if there are any. They're not required, but. Then the third step would be to add any all the required documents. So if I try to move on, it tells me these are the documents that are required. To add a document, you click on the choose file. This is from your system. I'm just going to stick with like test file. Obviously, these would be whatever kind of document type you are clicking on, that's the type of file you would provide. Of course, it says many files. Fourth step would be if there's any additional documents, you could pick it from here. This is going to be probably configured a little.
Aaron, Cindy, what are some examples of additional documents? I see motions listed.
Like
motions, exhibits.
Okay.
So we'll get that set before go live, the exact number of document, what can be an additional document that you want to provide. Let me just pick, say, a motion again. And this is also set up that like you could pick it again. That's why there's a, instead of it being in the grid itself, it's above the grid that you pick. Because this, you can file as many additional documents as necessary. And again, you can view it. This is just some lorem ipsum type stuff. So find the order packet. Or if it was, oops, I don't want that, you can delete it. And then it gets to the final step, and this is to confirm. On a new case, you get this little sidebar here, kind of, because there's more information that can fit on one page. So this is like from the basic information. You can see what you put in there if you want to make sure it's all correct. You click on the additional information. This kind of gives you a list of the parties and the case number you put in. And then you can check over the documents and the files, and you can review the files from here as well before you confirm. But once you see that everything looks good, You click
And
submit.
Dave, once you're here, if you wanted to remove a document, you would just have to go back to that step in the process and remove
Yes.
it there.
You could go back here
Yeah.
and choose a different file if you want.
Yeah.
Say, like, quote. At this point, you have to go back through.
Yep.
Because it wants to verify. And then now you come back here and you can see I have a quote in there instead of test file. So I've replaced a document.
And just to note, you can also, because there's a question in the chat, you can also go back if you find it out when you're confirming and reviewing the information that there's an error. You can also go back to even the basic information tab. So if you typed in somebody's name wrong, you can go back and correct it there too. The other question, there were a few questions about ex parte orders. So any order, any proposed order, ex parte order would be emailed directly to the judge's courtroom email box. Motions would be filed through here, but any proposed order is going to go directly to the judge's courtroom box.
And you can cancel anyway if you don't want it. If you get here and you don't want, you can cancel, and it'll make you confirm your cancel because you don't want to accidentally cancel it and say, oops, I didn't want to do that and have to enter it all again. So I'm going to say no because I don't really want to cancel it. I'll submit it. Just my acknowledgement. Now I have my fee waiver and my new case are still in the pending queue.
So the other thing I wanted to note too, and forgive me if we already said this, but I was trying to manage the questions. This system is only going to be available. There are a few case types that it's not going to be available for. So parental waivers will still go to Judge Cox's courtroom. Infectious disease cases will still need to be filed in the mailing or the in-person. Collaborative law cases will also still need to be filed in the mailing or in-person ways. And again, all that information is going to be on our website with which ones can go through the system and which ones can't. There was also a question about how do you file documents with the FOC only. So there are, for instance, when you're starting a new case on here, if you're requesting front of the court services, that application for 4D services, you're going to file that through this system and it's going to come to us. The verified statement, that will also be filed through this system, but other things that come to the front of the court, objection forms and things like that, those you'll still have to file in the ways that are on those instructions. Everyone kind of has a little bit different one. There's been a couple questions about allowing to serve the documents through the system. There's no service through the system, so it's unlike e-file. And I'll answer the other questions in the chat. I don't want to hold up tape.
So just, Aaron, I just see a question. How long does it take for the docs to be on the ROA? First of all, no documents are on the public ROA. I don't know if that's where you were looking. But then once the clerk gets to this, and Cindy could probably speak better to the timeframes, it gets fed into the system and is available. So,
and we hope to be able to maintain the documents as they're received and accept them. So hopefully we will be on a day-by-day basis.
And so someone also asked about service. You will receive an electronic version of everything back to you with a clerk signature stamp, judge. Sometimes I think judge signs the, the fee waiver, those kind of things. Those will all be sent to you in PDFs.
Okay, so the third type of filing is a motion. The first question is this, are you filing a motion to change child support? If you click yes. Oh. All right. Let me go back here. This was this is in place in there's the development system that we work on. It's in there. If you click yes, it'll ask you for the financial form on the next page. This was just so that's one minor thing that's kind of going to be put in place, but right now it's not in the system I'm demoing right now. So, but motions are basically just like the fee waiver. There's 4 steps. The second step is a required document. So it's, if you're paying by fee waiver, you include the fee waiver and motion. If there's an additional motion you want to file along with it, you can. That's basically it. It gets to the confirmation screen. And pleading is basically the same, works pretty much the same way. It's again, if you wanted to put a reference in there, you can. Again, any other additional pleading, if you want to file along with it. Everything looks good, submit. At this point, while it's still pending, if you wanted to change something, you can come back in here and go, oh, okay, I'll edit it. I really wanted to include an additional pleading.
And just a couple things to point out. Everything that's listed as pending means is that you've submitted it, but the clerk has not yet processed it. So once the clerk processes these documents, that status will change, and you can't go back and modify it once the clerk has started working on the document. The other thing to note, and I don't know if Aaron or the judge want me to point this out, but in every one of the initial screens, there is a little emergency checkbox at the bottom for emergency filings.
Yeah, and I can go in here and say, oops, I wanted to make it an emergency, so. So now it comes up here, it says it's an emergency. It shows you that it's an emergency.
And I believe the clerk's office prioritizes emergencies.
Right, they float to the top.
Yep. But so Aaron, do we want to go through the questions in the chat?
Yes. So this one I don't know. Cindy will probably have to answer. If case label stickers will still be used for in-person filings if the case was initiated through electronic filing?
Stickers are always available in the clerk's office if you choose to use them.
But are you going, is the clerk's office going to require them though?
In person.
So if they initiate the case through the electronic filing system, but let's say they later come in to file a motion in person, then they would need stickers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. There are a few questions about when they file a motion, do they attach the press fee, notice of hearing, proof of service all together, or does it have to be filed separately?
The precipice has to still be filed electronically.
Right.
And they can put their motion, if they want the proof of service and the notice to record in the register of action, they need to be filed separately.
So you can combine, so if you want the proof of service, notice of hearing to show as separate entries in the register of actions, then you would need to file them separately.
Correct.
But like your motion and your brief, you could combine those.
Correct.
Right, and the precipice process is not changing. I guess when Cindy said file electronically, you still need to file electronically like you normally do right now.
Yeah, e-precipice.
Yes.
Yes. There was, I think we had answered this question earlier, but just to go over it again, proposed orders, any proposed order, whether it be a proposed judgment of divorce, proposed default judgment of divorce, any of those things, those don't go through the system. Those would be emailed directly to the judge's courtroom. Another question that I think we answered earlier was, is everything that can be filed this way required to be, or can they still be mailed and or in person? So this system will be available Monday through Friday. Once it goes live, it'll be available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. In-person filings can still be done on Mondays and Thursdays, and then mailed filings will still be accepted as well.
And Aaron, all of that information will be in whatever announcement we post as well.
Yes, that will be, right. Yeah.
So I'm saying you don't have to write that down. It'll be right in our announcement.
And then one other question, once it's in the queue, is it considered filed, or do you have to do something else to get it out of the queue and filed? So you will receive, so your queue, you'll see those documents, but you will get an email back when it's been actually accepted by the clerk with a timestamped copy.
And Cindy, the timestamps are the filing date, not the accepted date, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Hopefully that answers the question.
And please remember, it can be rejected if it doesn't have the
Sure.
correct case number or it's not signed.
Yeah, I don't think we even covered any of that, but yes, if for whatever reason the clerk rejects it and the clerk has to put in the reason for the rejection, then that's what's happened. Yeah, we're really not going to get into the details of why we're not using the MyFile system. So we'll just consider that answered.
Exhibits, you can either submit them as a separate attachment or you can combine them with the motion. Obviously, you know, if they're confidential, you would have to follow the court rules with regards to the confidential documents. There is a limit on the size of the document. It's quite large, so I don't know that people would reach that limit, but that really is, depends on how you want to do it.
And it needs to be a PDF, correct?
Yes, these all need to be PDF documents.
Yes.
There was a question again, going back to the e-precipice with the motion. So you would still do the e-precipice in the same way. You would file your motion, wait for your motion to be accepted. Once your motion is accepted, then you would go and do the e-precipice. And then once you get that date for the e-precipice, then you would do the notice of hearing. And the summons will still be with the e-summons. Is there a preferred way for signatures in blue, color, or black and white? I don't think that there is. You can even use electronic signature. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of the time we're going with the state approved version of the electronic signature /S/ and then the name, if you're familiar with the e-filing system.
There's a question about fee waivers. So with the fee waivers, you need to submit your fee waiver. The chief judge's courtroom will process it, likely accept it, and then you need to take that accepted fee waiver and submit it with your filing.
And Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, that needs to be submitted with each subsequent filing. So in other words, if you have multiple subsequent filings on a case with a waiver, that waiver needs to be included each time, correct?
Correct. And we have a couple of details on that still to work out with the system.
No, understand. Yep.
This was an example of one that I put through the system that was stamped.
Oh yeah, if you can just maybe point out, the stamp is on the left-hand side. So it has a clerk and then a date and a time.
And if it's a case, it would have, or if it was like a motion or something, it would have the case number on there too. But this was a fee waiver that he picked no case, so there's no case number. But the case number would also be on the stamp.
And there is a question back to the fee waiver about you can still electronically submit the fee waiver request to the chief judge's clerk. So yes, you can use this system to submit the fee waiver request. It'll go through the chief judge's process. You'll get that back, and then you can go back into the system to file. Yes, your fee waiver has to be approved. I think we answered that question a few times. The fee waiver has to be approved before you can file. Because the system is not going to let you move forward unless you either attach a fee waiver or you give that receipt number.
There's a question about receiving an email, and I believe Dave will cover that in a minute. He's going to sign off of this user because there was no history. So he's going to show you then what the history looks like here. And Dave, do you have an example of the email?
I can show the email example. Let me move this over to here. So like this is a fee waiver example.
Can you just make that a full screen, Dave? Yeah. Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So this is what you would get, the fee waiver and the fee waiver attached.
There's the document, yes.
Right, and there's the document that's along with it.
Stamped it. And Dave, can you scroll down? You got the Chiefs // on there probably, right? Yep.
Right.
With the date. Yep.
And also it picks, whatever option you picked here.
Yep.
So.
Thanks, Dave.
So the question regarding a video exhibit, I'm not sure why you would ever file a video with a pleading. That would be something you would propose to the court either at hearing or prior to. So that would be an email to the courtroom rather than the system.
This is the email that you would get if it were a pleading, excuse me. Pretty straightforward.
So to someone's point earlier, if you're a assistant or a paralegal and you're filing these on someone's behalf but using your own, you can actually get creative and say, when these come in, and maybe whether you want to put a case number in, you can actually put forwarding rules in, but that's something your office needs to kind of dictate and design.
The only thing, just to clarify too, the only thing the system is used for is filings that you would be filing with the clerk's office. So things that you previously walked in and filed when you filed your pleading, not something that you want the courtroom to consider that would not normally be filed with the clerk.
And I would assume that if you filed those kind of things into this system, the clerk most likely would reject that. Is that correct, Cindy?
That's correct. If you send us any orders, we will reject them and direct you to the judge's emails.
Cindy, same with a record of divorce, correct? That goes to the courtroom and entered
correct.
by the courtroom clerk.
Yes, thank you, Judge. It does go to the courtroom.
This is a motion example. It's got a little more instruction in it.
Yeah, so this talks about you have to file the precipice, kind of spells it out as well. Yeah.
And for a new case, it'll give you your case number as well, and then more instruction about the summons.
And saying the summons, right, that we were leaving that intact. Yeah. So I'm gonna log into my account so that I can show the history. And Dave, can we just touch on this screen that you can see the profile, like who you are as you're signed on and where the help is at the top as well?
Where was that?
Oh, top upper right where you have your.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to go here?
Yeah, upper. So there you are, your profile, making sure you're you. And then also, Dave, there was where we're going to have the, the user guides.
Oh, up here in help, there's a user guide.
Yeah.
It walks through.
So a lot of the things we covered are right there available for you. If you want to print this or have it as your reference, it's there. If you've got new staff starting as well. Sorry, Dave, do you want to go back and just show the history? I think that's what you were up to.
Yes, no biggie. Obviously, well, I have a few more options in my menu because of developing it. I have to keep, but the history, when you first come to it, we don't show you any history because there could be a lot of records. And so just to narrow it down, you have to put in either a date range, or if you're looking for an exact case number, you put the case number in there. I'll just pick out. So here's some like test cases we've been testing with. So if you want to see, for you, there wouldn't be as many cases in here because it would just be the ones that you filed. And the more recent ones all float to the top. So like the date was submitted. So if you're looking for something to see what happened to it, for the most part, they'll be near the top. And if you want to see a further detail of what happened, you click the review and it shows you this was a pleading, here's what you filed, here's it was approved. It gives you all the other information associated with it that you filed and we picked it.
Right, so if you needed to go back and retrieve, say, documents, say either they didn't get through, you had to go back and get them, they're here. So this is where, while you will get an email back, I don't know that you need to print off or save the email because it's here. So if you just want to click on any one of these, Dave, it'll show the signed stamped document, correct?
It will.
Yeah.
This is the case number. And
so this is what would have come back in the email back to you. So it's here as well.
Yeah, so all the documents you can view by just clicking on the view icon in that column. Let me also go back. Let's see, here's one.
Okay, yeah, so there's a denied. With the reason.
Denied, if it's denied, it shows you the reason why. You can see that it's denied. The denieds are highlighted in red. Also, you can come into here and pick either approved or denied, and then it would show you only what was denied. And if you want to get rid of that, you click on it again and just say clear, and you're back to what was there before. If you want to start over here completely, you can just clear. You can pick a, maybe just today. If I'm just interested in one case, clear all this out. Let's see. It would find the case. And I guess that's pretty much it for the history. So.
There was a question that came in about if a filing is denied, can it be cured by the specific error or resubmitted? You would have to go back in and resubmit the filing. It won't save it. So, but you will get that email back that tells you what was wrong with it.
And again, the clerk needs to, they will be putting in a reason. A reason is required for when they deny a filing. I think that's it, Aaron, other than maybe any open questions, and I don't see any of those.
I'm not sure if there are other questions. One came up, if a motion filing is denied, what happens to the filing fee that's been paid? So Cindy, I believe they can still, so let's say they file a new case and something's wrong with it, they could still use that same receipt for when they resubmit, correct?
Correct.
Oh yeah, there's lots of questions coming in. There's a question, was the option of being part of an approved program for approval of fee waiver? I don't know.
There's a group that has, you know, blanket waiver. I'm trying to, something like LATA in the case, but.
Is it some of those CPLR attorneys too? I'm not sure. Chandrika, you might want to reach out to me, shoot me an email about that one. There's a question that I had answered in the chat about this. So when the system goes live, let's say you have there's an existing case that's already been filed and you want to file a motion on it, you don't have to create that as a new case in the system. You would just go in to the motion tab, you would file a motion, because this system, when you put in the case number, it's always going to be bouncing it off of our Odyssey system, so it'll know that it's on that specific case. So any existing case, do not go in and file it as a new case, because that will basically duplicate it. You would just go in, say, I want to file a motion. Dave's going to show you right now. So if you try to type in a case that's not valid, it's going to tell you that that number is invalid. If you type in a valid case number, it bounces it right off the system and it knows that that's a valid case number.
Right.
Someone asked about the instructions. Dave, you can just point that up again, the top blue bar. There's a help with a pull down. The user guide. I believe the getting started is the same getting started from the first page where you, if you need to figure out how to do a sign on.
Correct. That's just that little portion without all the other user information.
Someone asked about the timing of a download. We're not currently looking to pare that down at all. So in other words, your history is your history. It's out there. Again, if you choose to save these things electronically or print the PDFs, that's fine. That's really however your office works. But right now, there's been no determination of keeping these for a specific period of time in the queues. Obviously, once they're accepted, they go into the case management system, Odyssey.
There's a couple questions about juvenile filings. So this system is only for family domestic. For the CPLR attorneys, that if you have clients that are in juvenile, but you're filing on family domestic, you would just use this system for the family domestic. I know that we had kind of a workaround when we did the email filings, but like Cindy said earlier, our hope is that they'll be able, because this system is going to be much faster, much more user-friendly on your end, much more user-friendly on the clerk's end. So we're hoping that they'll be able to keep up to date with the filing. So there won't be anything separate for the CPLR. Another question about the clerks, will they actually be signing the defaults and sending them back? So there is a court case out there that the timestamp on the entry of the default is sufficient for the default to be entered. So that isn't going to change with the system. And another question about MyFile. So MyFile is not available to us right now. And so that's why I know the bar has a high opinion about MyFile. I'll just say you're going to get this system a lot faster than anyone in any county will be adding MyFile.
I'll reiterate again, and this has been discussed at almost every meeting that we've had with the feedback sharing with the bar. MyFile is not available to us. It's not that we have chosen not to elect it. We have begged, pleaded, and asked SCAO on numerous occasions for MyFile. They will not provide it to us.
Since the start of the pandemic.
since the start of the pandemic.
Before the email
got,
system got created, before this got created, listen, we've we've crossed those roads with the state. There was no alternative than to do this.
We would have loved to not have to build a system from the ground up. Mike would have loved that. The Daves would have loved that. However, again, you can ask SCAO, maybe they can provide you a better answer, but they, why will they not provide? You might have to ask them again. It's unavailable to us. It's our understanding the county is just too large. They don't have it available to provide. They did promise that if it was available to any domestic relations county, we can be the first in line. But again, they've indicated that if and when that happens, it's at least a year out from just starting, and then the process would be another year. So I don't even know if that will happen. Oakland County is a one-off with regards to their domestic relations and the use of MyFile. So why that happened is a question better suited for SCAO, unfortunately.
And I would just ask that everyone give the system a chance. I know it's new. I know none of us like change, but I do think it's going to be good for both the bar, for impropers, and for us on our end too. Two questions about 7-day orders.
I did answer that in the question and answer already. So if you can look at this.
Yeah. So those would go to the courtroom email box, right, Judge?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a more specific question from the same answer. If we're filing a notice of presentment for a 7-day order, do we use the motion event? Yes, you can use the motion event for a notice of presentment and just use the, you can attach the order as an exhibit. So this is different than a proposed order, Mike. This is a notice of presentment. It gets filed with the clerk. It's the only time an order gets filed with the clerk. So that would be,
Judge, that would go to the courtroom. We don't enter them on the second floor.
Okay, so I take that back. Directly to the courtroom, the notice of presentment, as well as you've never had.
No, they go to the courtroom.
Notice of presentments filed.
We let in the past, we've let people drop them off on the second floor, and we deliver them to the courtrooms.
Okay, so, but my specific question is, it does not get filed into the Odyssey system until the order gets entered, correct?
No, the clerk in the courtroom will enter it when it's received and then enter the order 7 days later.
Perfect. Directly to the courtroom.
Right, courtroom email box.
Yes.
And yep. Correct that there's this system does not do service. So you file it, you will get it back, you'll get your timestamp copy back, and then you will have to serve on the other party. And yes, there's an email confirmation you do not get an email confirmation when you've submitted a filing. That's just in your queue. The only email that you get back is when it's actually been accepted.
Or denied.
Or denied, yes. I went the positive route.
I know.
For PPI documents, is it still secure even if filed through the system in regard to data leaks and the like? So every document that we have that has PPI on it, it's programmed already to, when it comes into our system, that it gets locked down and handled as we would handle it now. As to the security of that, I'll let Mike speak to that, but we are pretty secure here.
Yeah, well, on our side, we do have it locked down. So everything in our side is secure. However, if you are sharing IDs and passwords among an office and you're submitting PPI documents in your office, it's only as secure as you'll treat it on your side. So our side, we definitely have that locked in.
A question about PPOs. Will PPOs be filed through the system? No, the PPOs will still go through Michigan Legal Help like they are now.
So someone actually asked a question. I made a point to touch on this. So if for whatever reason you're having an issue with your ID or an issue with something, or you're not getting the email through, open a help desk ticket for us. It's helpdesk@3rdcc.org. Pretty straightforward. You'll know that once you email that, you should get something back saying, we received your ticket, here's your ticket number, and then someone will get back to you. Obviously, make sure that your contact information is included in there. Again, I hate to say it because even in the MyFile system, we see a ton of tickets, people asking, why has my file been rejected? Why is this happening? Cindy, I don't know if you can answer some of those things, but there's a certain point where you can only really answer a certain level of questions, we'll say.
Correct. We don't give any legal advice on the help desk ticket. We
Right.
only give advice as to how the system is filed, why we don't. A rejection reason will be sent to you if it's rejected. And the instructions will all be on the 3rdcc.org under the family division.
Okay, so with that, we've had quite a few people drop off.
Oh.
The same question again. Any proposed order notice of 7 days that goes to the judge's courtroom email box.
Correct.
And then we do not have a go live date yet on the system, but I will make sure to notify everybody when we do. So I just want to be mindful of time because we've gone over our time on this, and I wanted to put a plug in. Judge talked earlier about our listening tour that we had. There will be a date going out for that. So if you're still on and you want to save the date, we are going to have a listening tour meeting on Wednesday, August 31st from 12:30 to 1:30. It'll be via Zoom again, like we have had in the past. And we're really going to use that. Obviously we anticipate a lot of the feedback on the new system will be discussed then. So thank you everybody for attending. And again, this will be recorded and put up on our website as well. So thanks to our panelists. Thanks, Dave and Mike, Cindy, and Judge Cox. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're done.